expect certain things to happen. But I'm going to guess you weren't thinking 4 touchdown passes in the first quarter by Baker Mayfield.
No, not at all. I did not see that coming like that at all. If anything, I thought it would be a fairly close game all the way through. I thought the Titans would probably pull it out in the end. I thought Derrick Henry was going to be just kind of a load to handle. And then I thought Ryan Tannehill would hit his shots with the Browns defense minus Denzel Ward, minus Ronnie Harrison. It just seemed like it was sort of set up for them to win the game, and they almost did. I mean, they came back and outscored the Browns 28-3 in the second half, but it was just too much to overcome.
Yeah, I don't think many people thought that the lead was going to change, even though we got way too close for comfort after the fumble out there. And by the way, the fumble that took place and the way that the Browns ran it down, they actually saved a touchdown on that. And I'm talking about Kareem Hunt. He saved the touchdown, and it would have been 2 scores that were needed instead of just 1. And the way the Browns were a little disheartened, 1 might not have been. It might have been very possible. So it worked out as far as the Browns are concerned. But do you think that Baker Mayfield was set up to be the man of the hour there, or just things fell that way? Do you think the game plan called for him to have the game revolve around him?
You know what? I think that they planned to take advantage of the 28th ranked passing game. They knew that they could win their matchups. They knew they were going to win their one-on-ones against some defensive backs that are challenged and some backup guys. They knew that there wasn't going to be any pressure, and Baker thrived.
Madden 21.
All right. Well, you're going to be working tomorrow night. Monday night is when you're going to work next, and then it'll be the Baltimore Ravens coming to town. And for the first time, it looks like the Browns in 20 years now that the Ravens have been around, that the Browns look like they're equals at this point of the season.
Yeah, they are. And who would have thought that at the beginning of the season when the Browns lost 38-6 to them? They bolstered their defense. They brought in Calais Campbell. They added some guys on offense, and they seemed to have taught Lamar Jackson some new tricks, but it wasn't working. They've had injuries. Ronnie Stanley, their Pro Bowl left tackle, is out. I mean, that hurts a lot when you don't have your Pro Bowl left tackle in the football game anymore. So he's out for the season. That hurts them a lot. Again, heading into their Tuesday night game against the Cowboys, they've lost 3 straight games. They're really kind of on the outside looking in, and they almost need to win out to try to get into the playoffs.
Defining development in any young football player is a tough thing, and it is especially tough with quarterbacks. The Browns need to see development in Baker Mayfield moving towards being their franchise quarterback. Changing coaches and systems as often as they have with Baker makes it even tougher to define. But Mayfield sure looks more comfortable in this offense than he did earlier in the year, and he's starting to show flashes of the quarterback that had Cleveland excited after his rookie season. The Browns and Kevin Stefanski gave him the keys to this offense against the Titans, and he made it look like a race car ready for prime time, prompting Rex Ryan, a Mayfield critic, to say, if Mayfield plays like that, the Browns are a threat for a deep playoff run this year. In the last 6 games Mayfield has played, he's been efficient and at times spectacular, completing 65% of his passes with an 11-to-1 touchdown-to-interception ratio. That kind of quarterback play will take the Browns a long way in the playoffs. And a couple of those games were in severe weather where throwing was limited. Could the Titans game be a turning point for Mayfield?
You don't want to play the mental game too much when you're playing quarterback, but just realizing what I'm capable of. I've always believed in myself. I'm not going to pay attention to the BS, just put my head down and work. The job's not finished yet, but playing confident and being who I am, not looking for any approval on the outside, is how I've always been the best at what I've done. And so that's how I need to do it. I can't let people change me because somebody did it different in the past. I am who I am, and I've always said that, so I'm going to continue to do that and improve. But then also, trying to elevate the guys around me. That's the one thing that I've always prided myself on, is being a leader and getting guys around me to play harder. And so that's the things about being myself. It needs to be authentic to be able to do that, and that's why I'm doing that.
Looking for signs of growth for Baker? He's taking much better care of the football, especially when the Browns are in scoring position. The head coach is putting more and more on his plate offensively, and as teammates, they still very much respond to him. Mayfield wants to win, that's evident. The Browns' offense will be built on a running game, but against some teams, Baker Mayfield will have to win the game for this team. Is he a franchise quarterback? No one will truly know the answer to that, but you can be sure that Baker Mayfield looks forward to the kinds of challenges against good teams, and that's a start for the Browns in determining, is this guy their franchise quarterback?
And let's put an end to this discussion. Of course, he's the quarterback of the future. Yeah, you want to spend another 5 years looking for another one, and still may come up empty? I don't think so. But Baker Mayfield, the rap on him early on, Mary Kay, was that he wasn't very athletic. If anybody watched that pass that was thrown to him by Jarvis Landry, there's about 5 athletic moves in that one little dance step that he had. That's athleticism. And by the way, I wouldn't ask Kevin Stefanski to call that play too much more often the rest of the season. But it's nice to let the other teams know that they have it in the playbook.
Yeah, exactly. They put a lot in the playbook, and that's great. And they can pull these things out whenever they want to. They've got so many different things that they can do, and they're very creative and they're aggressive. And just speaking of Baker Mayfield, I think he keeps passing the tests lately. He protected the football in those bad weather games. That helped them out a lot. Going all the way back to the Cincinnati game where he had that amazing game. And then in this particular game, again, he did not play a good pass defense in this game, and they kind of toyed with and took advantage of the Titans. But still, he passed the test, which is better than the alternative if you're trying to see if he's going to be your long-term guy. I wrote something over the weekend about how the fifth-year option is now only supposed to be maybe around $18 million for 2022, and that's a bargain basement price for a starting quarterback. So there's no doubt in my mind that they will at least pick that up.
So that would be for next year only at this point.
2022. So that's for the fifth year. So he'll still be on his rookie contract next year, and the fifth-year option is for the following season. When we just had him on a minute or two ago, he was talking that when he's acting a certain way, it's got to be genuine. Otherwise, his teammates won't go for it. I think his dancing down the sideline, I think the getting to the end zone before some of the receivers get in, I think that plays very well in the locker room. It really does. They love that Baker Mayfield, and so do the fans. That is the Baker Mayfield that was, shooting beers at Indians games and, doing all the things, waking up feeling dangerous, and, that's the Baker Mayfield. Everybody loves that Baker that has the swagger and the confidence, and when he gets in that zone and gets rolling along, that's when he's at his best. All right, Myles Garrett had a couple of games off. He came back. How did he get? He must have been done.
Sunday night, after the game, we did our post-game pod, and during that, I believe it was Doug Maurice kind of raised the question of which teams should be slotted ahead of the Browns. And I think Sunday night, after the game, we did our post-game pod, and during that, I believe it was Doug Maurice kind of raised the question of which teams should be slotted ahead of the Browns. And I think the consensus was the Chiefs and the Steelers. Dan made a case for the Bills. I believe Terry Pluto was on his bandwagon with the Bills. Yep. And then there was the Browns in there in that 3 and 4 spot. Well, since then, we've seen the Steelers lose to Washington. We've seen the Chiefs struggle to put away the Broncos. So my question is, all right, do we really think that the Browns should be third? Do we think the Browns should be higher than third? Does this past weekend's games, the fact that the Browns put away the Titans, change anything? I know they can't. They're not realistically going to be better than the number 5 seed. But do you think that they should be as feared as any other team in the AFC?
I'm not going to put them out of Kansas City. I know Kansas City struggled against Denver. I think Vic Fangio is a really good defensive coordinator. I don't know how he is as a head coach, but I think he's a very good defensive coordinator. And I think division games are weird anyway.
Sunday night, Dan, the Browns should be third. Do we think the Browns should be higher than third? Does this past weekend's games, the fact that the Browns put away the Titans, change anything? I know they can't. They're not realistically going to be better than the number 5 seed. But do you think that they should be as feared as any other team in the AFC?
I'm not going to put them out of Kansas City. I know Kansas City struggled against Denver. I think Vic Fangio is a really good defensive coordinator. I don't know how he is as a head coach, but I think he's a very good defensive coordinator. And I think division games are weird anyway. So I definitely wouldn't put him ahead of Kansas City. I would still lean, and I know Browns fans would kill me for this, I would still lean in Pittsburgh's direction just because of that defense. But their offense is certainly getting exposed recently. And then, look, I mean, I still like Buffalo. I still want to give some respect to Buffalo. Also at 9-3, a Hail Mary away from being 10-2. I still have to give some respect to that team and what they've done. So I guess if we're power ranking them, I would start after those 3.
As I watched what happened in Kansas City and around the rest of the league and watched the Browns and the way that they beat the Titans, I am starting to think that they can win any football game. They can beat anybody because teams are vulnerable now, and the Browns do some things really, really incredibly well, including running the football and their play-action game, and then Miles and some of the defensive linemen wrecking the game on the other side of the ball. When you can do those kinds of things, I think you can win any game, and we're starting to see chinks in the armor of some of these other teams. I mean, Pittsburgh and Baltimore are, I don't want to say falling apart, but kind of coming back to the pack. Of course, when at 38-6 and 38-7 over the Browns, it just seemed like they were so far ahead of the Browns. And at that time, I think we underestimated the fact that that Kevin Stefanski just hadn't really been able to bring his whole offense together yet. It was going to take time to get that brand new scheme up and running. Now, the way they have it going with that two-headed monster and running that play action off of it, I think they can beat anybody. I really do. And I honestly don't even know if I feel like they need to be third anymore. I do think that they probably would struggle a little bit against Patrick. But that team is not, in the words of Kaderil Hodge, not a super team that can't be beat. Buffalo would be a tough out. I mean, look, they've beaten some tough teams. They've beaten some good defenses. San Francisco has a tough defense. So I think that would be a tough out. I might put them ahead. So, yeah, I think I am going to go third right now, but it would be Kansas City, Buffalo, and then the Browns.
Yeah, I don't really think this team can beat Kansas City, do we?
I don't know.
I got to push. That's one that I have to push back. I know in the playoffs it's one game. Anything can happen. But, I mean, just really objectively looking at it, the Kansas City Chiefs are a super team. I mean, yes, they have vulnerabilities like everybody, but that is Patrick Mahomes might go for 450 yards against this defense.
Well, that is true, and but stranger things have happened. I'm not
right. I mean, if we're putting it in the one game any given Sunday category, yes, of course, Nick Chubb could go off, have a huge day. Yeah, but I just mean, generally speaking, when you stack the two teams up, I don't think anybody would actually ever pick the Browns to win that game.
I mean, that's why I put Kansas City first, and I'm putting Buffalo second, and I'm putting the Browns third. And I'm not saying that they're not a super team because I mean they are a super team. We all know that.
America, I think, is thinking the same way I am. I definitely put the Chiefs at the top. I think the Bills, I think, would concern me more than the Steelers right now. I know the Steelers lost their first game this week, but just watching the way those teams play and knowing the circumstances around schedule strength and that kind of stuff, I would probably put the Browns at least like in a tie for third with the Steelers. But look, these other teams are looking at the Browns offense and wondering, how do we stop that? That's a big deal. We look at the Chiefs offense and wonder, how would the Browns stop that? Stopping the Browns offense, that's a tough task. And the Browns are 9-3 because they've outscored so many teams, It's not like their defense is shutting people down. It's their offense has outscored people. So as long as you have an offense that is that prolific, you have a chance against these teams. And no one's saying that the Browns would go into a playoff game with the Chiefs and it would be like a 21-24 final. It probably wouldn't be that. It would be high 30s for the Browns to win, and they would need turnovers.
And the other thing is, Kansas City is tied for 23rd against the run. So in football games, a lot of times it's the matchups. It is how your team matches up against the other team in certain areas. So if you get rolling in the running game and you start to kind of possess the ball a little bit and play keep away to a degree, once again, anything can happen. We're not declaring right now that the Browns are better than the Chiefs because we know the truth. But they're just in a position right now where things could get a little interesting.
Kay Dobbins and the Ravens trying to keep pace in the AFC playoff race tonight against the Cowboys. And
so happened to be the best offensive half.
Down, and Baker Mayfield throws it up. Rashard Higgins brings it down for the 17-yard score. The Browns go on to win 41-35 with 4 touchdown passes from Baker Mayfield. So right now the Browns are the 5 seed with that wild card spot almost in hand, and they can still win the division. Baker Mayfield also had a career day on Sunday. So Joe, do you trust Baker Mayfield in the playoffs?
Well, Colleen, last weekend against the playoff-bound Tennessee Titans, in the biggest and most important game that the Browns franchise has played in probably 2 decades, which isn't saying a whole lot, but it still was, dare I say, maybe a playoff atmosphere. The Browns opened up the game by throwing on first down with Baker Mayfield's arm. They threw on second down with the arm of Baker Mayfield, and they threw when they got down to the goal line with Baker Mayfield. The results? Well, it just so happened to be the best offensive half in modern Browns history, scoring 38 points, and on their 6 drives in the first half, they threw 5 touchdowns and a field goal. They've never been close to that in the history of this franchise. So, now I didn't go to any Ivy League schools like Kevin Stefanski, but I did go to the Harvard of the Midwest, which is what we always call Wisconsin. It's very well known. And so I know what's working, and you stick with what's working in these playoff atmosphere type games when you get to the playoffs. So I absolutely trust Baker Mayfield throwing the football down the stretch in these playoff games in December and then in the playoffs in January.
38-7 at the half, Joe Thomas. The Browns completely lit up the Titans, unlike the Raiders, who needed a miracle on the road to beat the Jets. So let's watch them get it right here. Fourth quarter, 13 seconds left. Their quick turnaround against the Rams in the same building.
For a Bill Belichick run late in this season. The Rams that they play Thursday night will have that game. That's going to be a good game.
Dez Bryant there on the field. Dez Bryant, it's his first game with a touchdown tonight. There in New Orleans.
It looks like the Ravens -2.5-point road favorites here, Jeff. Any interest in getting involved in the Monday Nighter?
Yeah, this is the game I'm going to stay far away from until I see how Baltimore plays against Dallas later tonight. The issue with Baltimore, obviously, it's well reported that COVID has wreaked havoc with this team and their schedule. They're playing the Cowboys tonight on a Tuesday night. They last played on last Wednesday, so it's almost like a full week of rest. And they're going to be playing on a short week on back-to-back road games against Cleveland in this Monday night affair. You look at Baltimore, though, they're ranked 8th in Football Outsiders DVOA, so they're still ranked in the top 10 overall, and that's how I have them power rated. And my power ratings are actually top 8 team. And you look at 5 of their 6 wins have come by 14 points or more. They have outstanding special teams. They always do with John Harbaugh. And you look at the positives on both sides of the ball for Baltimore. They're getting healthier, right? You have Lamar Jackson. I believe he's starting tonight against the Cowboys. You have Mark Ingram back. You have Dobbins. They're both supposed to return, so their backfield's going to be fully back. And that's going to be a huge component for Lamar Jackson in this offense because they like to pound the rock. They're top 10 in the league when healthy and running the football. They're 8th in Football Outsiders rush DVOA, and their defense as well is getting healthier, Drew. I mean, the Ravens, they're returning Campbell, McPhee, Brandon Williams is back, and they're ranked 7th in defensive DVOA as per Football Outsiders, and they're strong against the run. They're 8th in rush DVOA. So I think once Baltimore gets healthier, this is going to be an undervalued team going forward. And I think tonight's going to say a lot. I think Baltimore's going to rout Dallas. But moving forward, keep an eye on this Baltimore team because I think people are kind of underestimating them. They've had a difficult schedule and a very difficult run with COVID, health issues. So I think this is a valuable team to be looking at. And I think the market's going to undervalue them going forward. Look at the Browns. I mean, they're coming off a 41-35 win over Tennessee. They're 4-0 in their last 4. I mean, they've clinched the first winning season in 13 years for Cleveland. And you look at Mayfield, Baker Mayfield, how he played in last week's game against Tennessee. I watched about 3 quarters of this game, and I was really impressed. I mean, he had a 0% off-target percentage in that game, and that's remarkable. He threw 4 TD passes in the first half for the second time this season. No other quarterback has done that this year. It looks like Cleveland is primed to make the playoffs for the first time in 18 years. It's the NFL's longest playoff drought. I think they're going to do it this year. You look at Baker Mayfield, his swagger is back since week 7. He has an 11-0 TD to interception ratio. He's 6th in the NFL over that span in QBR, 3rd in yards per pass attempt. He's thrown 4 TD passes in half twice, as I alluded to before. No other team has done that. The Cleveland Browns have one of the most improved offensive lines in the league. And they have an elite ground attack with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. The issue is Baltimore is very good against the run. In this game, I don't have a strong opinion. I need to see more from Baltimore tonight. I need to see who's healthy before and after tonight's game for the Ravens. I just know I'm going to be keeping an eye on Baltimore going forward because I am convinced this market is going to undervalue the Ravens.
All right, Ravens might have some value here. Throw it over to you, Robbie. In conclusion, you agree with Jeff? You think the Ravens are the side?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on a couple of things Jeff said here. And first off, Drew, without much of a market, as you mentioned, I'll just throw out there that before the game is played tonight against Dallas, right now, if it were being played, I would have Baltimore as a 1-point favorite against Cleveland. So 2.5 is what you're seeing in limited places right now. We'll see. Of course, the result tonight will help move up or down power ratings, and then we'll see an adjusted price. You know, the whole thing to the game really, guys, comes down to, and Jeff alluded to this, Cleveland's rushing game offensively. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, they go as that running game goes. And to that point, Baker Mayfield goes as the running game goes. When you can play action, he's tremendous. If he has to drop back, he's a disaster. So you want to get him in down and distance situations. You want to try and keep that running game quiet. So how is Cleveland built all these rushing statistics? Remember, Nick Chubb was out for a few weeks, but the Cleveland Browns have faced some really poor rush defenses in the last 6 weeks, none of which ranked in the top 18 in rush yards per game allowed. So you're getting over on soft defenses. Baltimore will not have one for weeks now. I think 3 games. We'll see what happens tonight, but I believe Calais Campbell, as Jeff mentioned, and Brandon Williams will both be back to plug those defensive tackle holes. And when they're in there, you don't run on Baltimore. So for Cleveland, this is going to be a little bit of a different test. This is not Tennessee, who can't stop the run, who can't get to the quarterback. Cleveland has gone through some bad weather games where teams were unable to rush the quarterback. And besides playing bad teams in that particular area, it's just a different matchup for them, Drew, and I'm not sure I'm sold on them yet. Now, Baltimore's going to be in desperation mode from here on out. The way the AFC playoff picture lines up, it's almost to the point where Baltimore has to go 5-0 starting tonight to find their way in if they want to do it by themselves. You can always get some help along the way, but I think they're in playoff game mode, desperation mode starting tonight. That'll continue against Cleveland, barring a loss here against Dallas. Who knows what would happen then. But if they do win, you go to Cleveland, you got a good fundamental matchup against them. The only question I would have with the Baltimore Ravens is even when Lamar Jackson and everybody was healthy, the offense has sagged. Ever since go way back to a game, primetime game against Kansas City, where the offense just never clicked. And it hasn't really clicked since. So they have to get some offense back. Cleveland's got a very good pass rush. Myles Garrett back last week. They can get after the passers. But I still think Baltimore would probably be the right side, because if you can take away Cleveland's running game, then you can beat that team. Matthew Judon, the linebacker who's been out for a while, probably back for this game. Not the Dallas game, but the Cleveland game. And he's maybe their best defensive player overall. So the additions back off of the COVID list and onto the field should really help Baltimore defensively more than anything. I would say right now from afar, Drew, we're looking at it from, as a down-the-road game. But I think Baltimore probably at that price tag would be the right side.
Yeah, under a field goal as we're talking now, guys. Of course, that will change, most likely due to the outcome of tonight's game. But you've heard it from Robbie Vino and Oscar Sports right there at WagerTalk.com, both handicappers, and especially you can get them 50% off, guys.
Allow Tennessee to get within a score of the lead, but the Titans couldn't secure the last onside kick. The Browns escaped with a win. And with their ninth victory, guys, the Browns will finish this season with a winning record for the first time in 13 years. Finally, they've got that one. Shannon, was yesterday a blip or a trend for Baker?
Well, Skip, I'm not going to expect him to throw for, 250, whatever he had, and 4 touchdowns in the first half. But Mike Vrabel basically dared Baker Mayfield to beat him throwing the football. They said, we refuse to give you Nick Chubb. We refuse to give you Kareem Hunt. If you beat us today, you're going to have to throw the football. And Baker did that. He threw the football. He did not put the ball in harm's way. And guys, Skip, if you look at the guys, Peoples-Jones, both of them was wide open on the double move. They did a great job. Nick Chubb did a great job of carrying out the play fake. Baker did a great job of carrying out the play, and when he rolls up, the guy was wide open. I will give Baker credit. He made every throw. He was not off target. The throw to Jarvis in the back of the end zone, Jarvis runs a great route. He holds Byard. He puts it on his back shoulder because he knows if he leaves it, Byard's going to probably decapitate him. It's going to end up being an incomplete pass.
By the way, that was a rocket.
Yeah, so I'm going to give him credit. Stefanski did a great job of calling the plays. Tight end throw it to a 315-pound offensive lineman for a 1-yard touchdown. So I'm going to give him credit for what he did yesterday, Skip. Now, we know going into the game, the one thing that Tennessee can't do is generate pass rush. Skip, remember they spent $13 million on Jadeveon Clowney. It's been reported he had surgery and is done for the season. They gave $8 million to Big Beasley. Big Beasley was like, I'm uncertain if I even want to go to camp. So he missed the first week. He missed, gave away $500,000 because he didn't even show up to camp. He's not even on the team. So they spent $21 million in pass rushers and not one. I don't even know. They might have a sack between the two of them. If I'm not mistaken, they might not have any sack. But give Baker's credit. We wanted to see Baker win a game in which a team nullified your running game. You didn't have Hunt. You didn't have Chubb to dominate. They took that away. Baker threw the ball with conviction. He threw the ball with accuracy. So I'm going to give him credit. Baker deserves credit for what he did yesterday.
Okay, so Friday, you dismissed Baker at this point in his career as nothing more than a game manager,
yes,
right?
Yes.
I'm not sure that was game managing. That was game dominating.
So you're going to take one game, or are we going to look at the previous games?
That was the third time this year, the third week this year in the NFL, that Baker Mayfield has led the entire league in QBR for a weekend, okay? And he did it twice before against Cincinnati, so you say 98, 97,
Well, we get this guy.
all right? But
we'll give him credit for this.
Okay, this was because this was at Tennessee against a team that has been hot and cold, but it has been hot lately.
They whitewashed Indy just last week.
And Indy was hot coming into that game. Was it at Indy? They just got blown away. It was 45-26, I believe. And the point is, they had won at Baltimore in overtime, so they had won 2 in a row, and they were 8-3 coming into the game. So they're a legitimate team. I get you about the pass rush. But would you believe that only one quarterback has thrown 4 touchdowns and a half this year, and it's Baker Mayfield, and he's done it twice. Okay, that's more than game managing to me. And I told you Friday that in the last 5 games, ironically and not coincidentally, without Odell, since Odell got hurt, God bless him in his rehab, but since he was gone, over those 5 games leading up to yesterday, Pro Football Focus, just pure rating, had Baker rated 5th overall in the league in his performance over those 5 games. We don't have their rating yet for today, off yesterday, but the point is, that will probably go up. Maybe over the last 6 weeks, he'll be 4th or 3rd on that list.
Skip, you remember, last week was the first time in a month Baker had thrown a touchdown. And he threw 2 in that game. So, and they were still winning those games. So, all I'm saying is that if you ask Baker to say, Baker, just go win the game. If you saw what happened when Kareem Hunt wasn't in the lineup, Kareem Hunt is what makes this offense go.
Yep.
Because now, Skip, you see what happened when they faked that ball to his belly? You see all those guys come forward?
Yep.
They're not coming forward to look at shake Baker's hand. They're coming forward to put a helmet on Kareem Hunt. Not Kareem, excuse me. Nick Chubb. And so guys are, Skip, the guys are running scot-free. Now, let's not make it seem like he's throwing darts. I mean, that was Peter Jones. You could have threw that one.
I don't know if the second one was scot-free, but the first one was scot-free.
Peter Jones and the guy looking in the backfield, Skip. I mean, you got People Jones. Why are you looking in the backfield? What you gonna do? What you gonna do from 20 yards deep? You gonna shake his hand? You gonna tackle him?
All I know is it was 38-7 in the first half in Nashville.
Yes.
That's beyond game managing, because when he gets hot, when he gets right from the start, and I saw it again and again when he was at the University of Oklahoma, he can deal, and he was dealing yesterday. He can also go hot and cold, which is why, ironically, and almost impossibly, this team is now 9-3, while for the whole year being outscored by 15 points. How do you figure that? Well, I can tell you why it happened. Because at Baltimore early, they lost 38-6. At Steelers, they lost 38-7. They lost in Vegas 16-6. So you can see what happened. And all of a sudden, they're on a roll.
Hold on, wait a minute. Where was Baker then?
Well,
what was Baker then?
Okay, but he had Odell. I promise you, it's an Odell crisis for this team. And I'm taking nothing away from Odell in and of himself, but when you put Odell on top of Jarvis with 2 quality, well, really, they got 3 quality tight ends. And you have 2 backs who can catch it out of the backfield. All of a sudden, Baker is forcing the ball to Odell because he got way too Odell-centric, and it was hurting the offense. All of a sudden, it clarified where now his go-to guy is clearly Jarvis.
Yes.
And he's got 3 or 4. He's got Peoples-Jones. He's got various other Higgins. He's got guys that he likes, but he knows if they get no catches in a game, it's going to be okay. With Odell, it's not going to be okay. So all of a sudden, their whole situation crystallized for Baker, and you can see how effective he's been since Odell was gone. Just look at the numbers.
I love the fact that even though they didn't run for a great number of yards, they didn't have a great yards per carry, still had 36 attempts. They're thinking that 36 attempts. So you're like, oh man, they're not gonna run it. We stop them. They only get 1-2 yards. But as fast as you stay with the plan. If you look at all these guys, if you look at it, it's the West Coast system because you look Kubiak. You look at look what Jacksonville was doing to Dalvin Cook yesterday. and somebody Dalvin Cook ended up with 120-plus yards on 30 carries. You don't get away from it. You stick with it, and they stuck with it. If Chubb can stay healthy and they run the ball, Skip, they don't have, like I said, sure, you love to have 300 yards or 200 yards, but it's the threat. When Chubb is not in there, the threat of them running the football like that isn't there. So they'll play you more straight up. And Baker struggles when teams play him more straight up. But when you're getting one-on-one coverage and they're playing action pass, the guys are running free. But we're going to see moving forward because teams are going to make – that's the blueprint, Skip. I want to see more of this. I know what Chubb can do. I know Chubb can run me out of the game. I know he and Kareem Hunt can tag team me and beat me down. I need to see more of Baker playing this consistently over a longer period of time.
I thought you used to.
All right, this one's from Mr. Swag. Shout out to Mr. Swag. Can we rebound? I'm actually kind of scared due to the lack of balance on our offense. I'm also worried because we are losing men left and right, and the Browns are creeping up there in the division.
I'm not worried about the Browns at all.
Browns in a way, 9-3 right now?
Yeah, I'm still not worried about them, though. I'd be more concerned about the Chiefs and Bills in terms of AFC teams.
I'm just simply saying they're a 9-win AFC team right now.
I get it, but we smack them, dude.
I'm feeling you. I feel you. I'm just simply saying they are a 9-win team. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
I get it. I'm not worried about the Browns in the division or anything like that. But all right,
would you
the
be
question
worried if
rebound.
it came down to, all right, we're both sitting here, we haven't lost since neither party, and we got to win this to win the division? Would you feel nervous then?
The last game of the year?
Yeah. Well, if it equaled out to where that last game of the year that was for the division, would you feel a little nervous then?
If we're healthy, we're fine.
Okay.
No, I don't feel that way.
I like it.
Yeah, Connor being back, even Pouncey being back. Yeah. All of our starters on defense. Hopefully Spillane's back too. I'd feel fine.
Okay.
I would.
All right, just check.
I don't think they have the juice on offense like the Bills or the Chiefs do.
I do agree with you. Well, even though you saw versus Tennessee, they played it up, right?
Yeah, but I think we know how to play that. Okay. Tennessee's they're kind of a shitty defense.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. And we know who Baker is. You know, top 20 quarterback, but he's definitely limited. Yeah, so that's why I'm not as concerned with the Browns. Like our rushing defense really good. We stood them up the first time.
And I'm not gonna lie. Anytime Baker in Cleveland comes in, it reminds me of how the NFL viewed Brady with the Patriots, the boogeyman. Go up there to play them, it gets nervous. Oh man, something about it's always magical. Anytime
Baker coming here?
No, I'm just saying in general, Baker versus us right now versus the Steelers. Like anytime Baker's playing us right now, right, it always looks like he struggles. It's kind of like I said, the boogeyman. Like when you play the Patriots with Brady, you always like, regardless of how the game starts, you know somehow, some way, it's going to work out in their favor at the end. I feel like right now with Cleveland, that's how they view us because typically every time we played them, I mean, the history speaks for itself.
Well, even the Thursday night game we played up there with Mason, like he didn't play good. We gave him that game.
Not at all. I mean, we had four turnovers that game. Think about that, man. Yeah. So, yeah, without a doubt, I just feel like we have his number right now, man.
So the ultimate question, though, about the rebounding.
I definitely feel like we'll rebound. I'm confident. Now, it's going to be interesting, though. Like I said, this next game versus Buffalo, we thought Washington was tough. This is going to be a really, really tough game. But I'm really excited, though, because I do feel like we play better in those type of games where it's good on good, where it's all the hype and all
coming off the loss.
Right. Too. You know, you're extra motivated. Still a ton at stake, too. You talk about being 11-1 right now. We know Kansas City also is right in that vein, so we have to keep winning. We want to keep that 1 seed, but more importantly, we got to keep winning too because if we drop the Buffalo and now you start getting a little tighter because they're sitting at 3 losses right now, so they're going to be right in that conversation as well. You just don't want to play that type of game, especially as an AFC team too. At least with Washington, NFC, right? So it doesn't hurt that, right?
Yeah, as much as the loss was frustrating and all that, I think the rest of our games are all AFC, right? That was the only NFC game, so that was, I guess, the one to lose if you were going to pick one.
Correct.
So, we're still the 1 seed because of that. So I agree with you. I think we'll rebound. We'll be fine. I just want these guys to be healthy again.
That's the big thing. Got to get back. That segment was brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sports booking app. It's safe, it's secure, it's
the second team to score 5 touchdowns in a half this season, which was the first.
I know how sneaky Hembo is. Because
right now, who'd the Browns do this against?
The Browns did it against Tennessee.
Well, you know what? I think Tennessee did it earlier in the year. I'm going with Tennessee.
How about this? Tennessee did it the week before against the Colts. Rex Ryan.
Thank you. You're not so sneaky. I got you, Himbo.
You got it right. And you know what's interesting? Did the Patriots do it like 3 hours later?
They did. And that's why I was like, wait a second. Didn't they do it against the Chargers? So
the Patriots scored 5 touchdowns and a half later in the day. But let's start by showing you what the Browns did to the Titans. It was the performance of the day, and it came, Dan Orlovsky, from Baker Mayfield. Pick it up in the first quarter. Browns with a 3rd and 2. Mayfield, we know he can throw. How about this? He can catch.
Yeah, just an awesome awareness play by Baker, kind of drifting with that football as it leads him towards that sideline. I love this play. Play fake. Number 1's out there. Snap backside. Back hit for Jarvis Landry on a great route. Touchdown Browns.
Right, so Landry hits one to Mayfield, and Mayfield hits one to Landry. And then Derrick Henry had himself just a completely forgettable day. The early turnover there giving the Browns good field position. And take a look, a little trickery here, Dan.
Just an awesome little design. You fake it to Chubb, Hunt goes and stretches out the defense, and then Lamb with an easy touchdown, big fella, ball. And then Greedy, we're going to break this one down. I love this shot. Shows up and breaks some tendencies. Receiver win on your route. Touchdown Brownies.
Donovan Peoples-Jones. This one is 75 yards. And as he says, Dan is going to show you a complete look at this play in just a moment. But the Browns were in complete control, 24-7, but they weren't done yet. How about the dime with 5.5 to go in the half that Baker Mayfield throws here, Dan, to Rashard Higgins?
Yeah, it's just an outstanding route by Higgins. You get one-on-one with that corner, a little hezzy at the top, and then Baker throws an absolutely perfect ball. He was hot to end that first half.
Mayfield, 4 touchdown passes in the half, 38-7 was the score. Could Ryan Tannehill bring the Titans back? Well, actually, yes. 38-13. A.J. Brown, we got a fumble, we got a scoop, we got a score for the offense. Successful 2-point conversion. It's 38-21. They're in the game. Fourth quarter, less than a minute remaining. 41-28. The one thing you can't do if you're Baker Mayfield, Rex, is turn it over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like, oh my goodness, they're not dead yet.
It was the one mistake he made the entire day, and it does prove costly because the Titans take over. Then on a 4th down, Dan Tannehill, Cameron Batson, 41-35. They're right there with a chance if they can get the onside kick, but not so much. Andy Janovich of Cleveland jumps on it, and the Browns, 41-35. They are 9-3, and Baker Mayfield had his best game since his uniform said Oklahoma on it. He finished the day with 0% off-target percentage for the first time in his career, and he talked after the game about the difference between this year and last.
Whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, then I don't do that.
All right, Rex loves it. That's actually a line from The Office, but it's funny regardless of whether it was original or not. And look, there has been a lot of criticism of Baker Mayfield on this show. I take back none of it. It has been, I think, legitimate at the time. But it's only fair. Give him credit where it's due. Dan, that was the best game we've ever seen him play in the NFL. Give us a closer look.
Yeah, you see the impact of Kevin Stefanski. That's the big deal. I was with Sean McVay, and I remember him talking about offensive football, and he said, good offensive football, nothing happens by accident. It's always we have a vision, and then we understand that the defense is going to view our vision, and we show them something and take advantage of it. What they did in their 13 personnel package, come on, touchscreen, they did in their 13 personnel package and their play action shot to Donovan Peoples-Jones was they got into first down, right? They're number 1 first down run team in the NFL. They put 3 tight ends on the field. That tells the defense that we're going to run the football, and then they go for that play action shot, that double move to Donovan Peoples-Jones. It ends up being a big touchdown. That's the vision of their offense. Kevin Stefanski's going, okay, we're going to put big bodies on the field, and you think that we're going to run the football because that's what we do on first down. And instead of doing that, they take their play action shot. Baker does a beautiful job with their play fake, and it ends up being an easy touchdown. It's because Kevin Stefanski has a very clear plan for how they want to operate as an offense, and they do it as good as anybody in football right now.
Obviously, the touchscreen there is not working. We will get that working for you, Danny, so you can illustrate it for us momentarily. But, RC, let me come to you. Let's just talk about what we saw from him yet. That's the Baker Mayfield, RC, that we've been waiting to see basically since he came out of college, yes?
No, absolutely. Listen, this is a Baker Mayfield that believes in himself, a Baker Mayfield that understands that when he gets hot, he's one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. And we saw this very early in this game. Comes out with the pass to Jarvis Landry in the first play of the game, picks up a first down, pushes the ball downfield to Rashard Higgins, and actually has a touchdown pass dropped by Donovan Peoples-Jones early on in the game. And from then, it was on. And it was like a snowball effect. Everything he threw was on point. Every ball he threw got deeper. It got more accurate. There was more velocity on it. And Baker Mayfield started to feel himself a little bit. And I don't say that in a negative way. It's when Baker Mayfield gets in his mind that it's his day. When Baker Mayfield gets in his mind that the rim is big, he's difficult to stop. And when you have Nick Chubb running the football the way he did, setting a physical precedence, and then allowing Baker Mayfield to play off of that, this team won't lose offensively. And we saw how great they could be yesterday against Tennessee Titans.
They're 9-3 football team, Rex, and this all of a sudden is a team I think a lot of people are not going to be interested in playing in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Grady. And I said it last week before this one. I said if they get average play from the quarterback position, this team can go deep in the playoffs. If they get play like this from Baker Mayfield, they may very well be in the Super Bowl. So, to me, Baker Mayfield, I thought it was an unbelievable game. In the play, unfortunately, we never got to it with Dan.
Yeah.
The separation, it was almost 10 yards separation. And to your point, it looked like Baker Mayfield playing in Oklahoma.
I'm told we do have that working. Dan, let's do it quickly. Let's show everybody what you wanted to show them, because I think it's a really good look at why it's working so well for Cleveland right now.
All right, so I mentioned 13 personnel. What is that? That's one back, and then that's 3 tight ends on the field. I mentioned it's first down, right? This is the team that runs the ball on first down more than anything. So tendency, first down run, and then I show you first down personnel groupings. Now, what does that do to a defense? They're not stupid, so they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You only play with 11, folks. 10 guys within 6 yards of the line of scrimmage. Kevin Stefanski's got a vision. He goes, okay, here's going to come this play action chunk, and this is what they're going to do. They're going to send Njoku, this tight end, crossing across the field. There's a safety back there that you can't see. He's going to be aggressive to the cross, and then this is the guy that has to win on his double move, come back and go. But Baker Mayfield does stuff in this play action game that's so well, right? I want everyone to pay attention a little bit to this fake. Okay, look at this fake right here. Now imagine yourself at a casino, the blackjack dealer right there, right? This is how he deals out the cards, everybody. The defense, when they have vision right now, they have no idea where the football is because of that play fake, because of the sell. Baker Mayfield still has vision down to Kareem Hunt right there. The defense has no idea where the football is right now. That's called selling it. I want everyone to remember that moment, because you're going to get that play action shot. Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to be wide open, and everyone's going to go like, wait, how does that happen in the NFL? How can a guy get that wide open? I talked about the first down, 13 personnel and all those bodies near the line of scrimmage, but watch this defensive back, because I told you to pay attention to when Baker Mayfield was in that play fake. He's got vision. You got vision back in the backfield. You don't know where the football is, because I'm like a dealer at the casino. I get bad vision. Receiver, you have to win on your route. Me as a coach, I've done everything. I've gotten us into the personnel grouping. I've taken advantage of that first down play action shot. I got the defensive back with bad eyes in my play fake. Win on your route. That's vision as a coach. Kevin Stefanski's impact on that offense in Baker Mayfield.
Really well done, and definitely worth coming back to again. The Browns all of a sudden 9-3, and Stefanski in the conversation for the Coach of the Year. Next game, speaking of Coach of the Year candidate, how about Brian Flores and the Dolphins? Tua back from a thumb injury, taking on Cincinnati. Pick it up late in the second. Bengals up 7-3, and this is going to get ugly, Dan. We're going to get pushing and shoving between Tyler Boyd and Xavier Howard, and ultimately both of them are going to be ejected.
Yeah, Green, this is soft, though. Come on, like, we can't push in the NFL anymore, and this is coming from a quarterback. Officials, they're not there for you.
High 334 yards with all 4 of his touchdown passes in the first half to 4 different players. And the Browns defense with Myles Garrett did a great job making Derrick Henry a virtual non-factor. And with the win, the Browns have clinched their first winning season since 2007. Steve, what impressed you most about Baker Mayfield's performance yesterday?
Well, just the efficiency. You know, Baker felt like he was reckless, and it was things that you just, the amplitude of what he did week to week was so up and down. You're like, what is this guy going to be? Clearly, he is a play-action quarterback, very much like Jared Goff. And when he has a number one rushing game like he does with Nick Chubb, watch what happens with the linebackers, the second level, even at the 2-yard line. Look what happens. Everybody just disappears. You've got 10 yards of open space in the end zone that you don't see very often. And so that's where Baker's going to thrive, and he did yesterday. And with this number one rushing game, every time you put it even in the fullback's belly and pull it back out, look at the reaction. Now you got 2-on-1 and just happen to be a 350-pound lineman that can catch the football, but wide open. Here's another one in the field that was one of the big plays of the game. Watch. Look at the second level. All four, even the safety, up to the line of scrimmage, trying to react, double move, and now all of a sudden you got the big plays. In many ways, Susie, Baker Mayfield now, the referendum is for him every week. The Browns are playoff ready. They've given him the running game. There's the Forrest Gump run there. I love that. They've given him the running game. They've given him the defense. Really, every week is now, can you, Baker Mayfield, take that and take this team to the playoffs? It's a referendum on him every week.
You know, Steve, I think the Cleveland Browns have really found their identity. Just looking at that tape that you showed, look at how he was selling. Baker Mayfield was selling the play action. You was talking about showing the ball to the fullback and pulling it out, hiding from that defense. I really think that the Cleveland Browns, Steve, really found their identity. And guys, their identity is the run game. Running through Nick Chubb. Anytime you have the safety coming out of the middle of the field, the last man in the backfield for the defense to come up and support the run, that means you have a good thing going on the run game. Between Hunt, between Chubb, that opens us up. Baker Mayfield, 4 touchdowns in the first half for the Cleveland Browns. Man, I haven't seen this out of the Cleveland Browns in so long, and I have to give kudos to Coach Stefanski of being able to solidify what their ground and pound, what they're going to do. They're going to attack every defense every week, and then that opens up the play action and let Baker Mayfield keep them commercials on that TV.
I love it. And to your point, if they're going to run the football instead of the play action, then we have to talk about the offensive line. They're playing. They may not be the best offensive line, but they are playing the best football in the National Football League up front. They are getting off the football. The investment they made, bringing Conklin in, drafting Wills, what they're doing from an offensive line standpoint, they are dominating up front. But yesterday's game, they didn't run the ball well, but it was the threat of the run. Yes. And if Baker Mayfield is going to play the way he played yesterday, you couple that with the way they were able to shut down Derrick Henry. They went into the game saying, if we can get this team into 36 plus, and they did that. Myles Garrett coming back, he's got 10.5 sacks in only 10 games. They can go into the postseason, and teams are going to be afraid to play them because they know who they are. They can run the football. They can stop the run. They have a fourth-quarter pass rush in Myles Garrett and Vernon. And if they have a quarterback that cannot turn the football over and be efficient like Baker Mayfield, why can't the Browns make some noise in the postseason?
And to your point, along the offensive line, you didn't mention Bill Callahan.
Yes.
Who's regarded as one of the top offensive line coaches in the league.
Yes.
And Kevin Stefanski brings in his system from Minnesota. So you take Stefanski, you take Callahan, you take it with the personnel that existed, and now in the cold weather in Cleveland, you can run the football as well as anybody in the league. You can rush the passer. You've got all the ingredients and elements to make the Browns a compelling football team. I want to repeat that. The Cleveland Browns are a compelling football team. And they're on Monday Night Football next week. And when this schedule came out, you didn't look at that matchup, Baltimore at Cleveland, as must-see TV. And I got to tell you, I'm fired up.
Let me say this to Susie real quick. Yesterday, I remember just listening to an interview by Myles Garrett. He was just talking about the couple of weeks that he's been out. He said, when you see me play today, I'm going to come back better than I left. And Myles Garrett led that defense. You talk about Olivier Vernon on the other side. Yes. I think the Cleveland Browns have their formula, and it starts with the running game.
Adam already teed it up. Roll the promo. Next week, we get to dive deep into the Browns on Monday Night Football. Reigning NFL MVP Lamar Jackson and the Ravens take on Baker and the Browns. It's the QB class of 2018. Monday Night Football, Week 14. We'll see you for Monday Night Countdown at 6 p.m. Eastern. So that's one more more thing, Adam. The Ravens play their Week 13 game tomorrow at 8:05. They host the Cowboys. What's the status of Jackson and others for the game?
Well, there it is, Susie. Lamar Jackson was activated off the reserve COVID list today. Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins already have been. Campbell will be back. McPhee will be back. But the Ravens will not have Mark Andrews, Willie Snead, or Matthew Judon.
Okay, now, let's talk about tonight's game. At State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, the Niners have a...
This is the scene of the Hail Murray.
Tennessee, another good team, in the first half yesterday. Baker Mayfield had 4 touchdown passes, 290 yards in that half. Tennessee climbed back but could never draw even. Wilbon, everyone knows you hate the Browns, you hate Mayfield, you always pick against them. Have they now convinced you that they're good?
Tony, you're old news, dude. I don't pick against the Browns this year. I'm in a pool, and I got record. You can look up what I pick every week. I thought the Browns were going to be better this year. They are better this year. Tony, I'm not going to overstate it, though, like everybody on every network talking about the Cleveland Browns today. If Baker Mayfield can do this every week, then he beat Joe Montana. He wouldn't be Baker Mayfield. He is playing better. This is the first really good team that they've beaten. Good for them. Good for the Cleveland Browns. There is a sense to the Cleveland Browns. But I'm not going to sit there and say these are the Cleveland Browns in the 1960s with Jim Brown. Let's not get carried away. You have to do something, or you ought to have to do it 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in a row before we proclaim that you are now a Super Bowl contender. The Browns are improving. Maybe there's enough season left where they can really get on the roll going into the playoffs. But this ain't extra credit. This ain't 4th grade. I want to see some more of it.
I will tell you, it's the first time they've had a winning season since 2007, and if they were to make the playoffs, it'd be the first time since 2002. You know the last Cleveland Brown quarterback who had 4 touchdown passes in the first half? It's Otto Graham. It's Otto Graham.
Northwestern zone, baby.
It's 1951. It's Otto Graham. Look, I was skeptical about them because they had lost to Baltimore, to Pittsburgh, and to the Raiders. The good teams they played, they have lost to. But Tennessee's a pretty good team, and they pasted Tennessee. And this guy, Nick Chubb, can run. He's a tank. And they're doing all of this without Odell Beckham Jr. In fact, since the play where Odell Beckham Jr. got hurt, Mike, which was an interception by Mayfield, he's intercepted. He's got 11 touchdown passes and no interceptions.
Yeah.
So sometimes, as we see with the Giants, you lose a great player, somehow you're better, and I don't understand how.
Well, Tony, I think one thing, let's give Baker Mayfield double back and give him some more credit. I liked what he said after the game. When he said, I can't make stupid mistakes like I was making. And those have to go away. And he took that on himself. I always like hearing that, particularly from a quarterback who has been less than he ought to be. Baker Mayfield, if this improvement continues, I'm not going to, if he plays like this every week, if Mitch Trubisky throws 4 touchdowns in the 4th quarter every week like he did one time, he too would be Joe Montana. There's a presumption about these guys, Tony. These players aren't that consistent. Otherwise, they'd be great and headed to the Hall of Fame. But Baker Mayfield, let's see what happens now the next 2 or 3 weeks.
I gave credit to Joe Judge at 38. Kevin Stefanski, who I also never heard of until he was named coach there, he's 38 years old. He seems like a big upgrade at the moment from Hugh Jackson and Freddie Kitchens. Seems big upgrade. Let's take
Freddie
a break.
Kitchens, there's a name we forgot.
Whoa, I didn't forget it. Are the Patriots still in it? Patriots. They in it?
Yeah, get my money ready, dude. It should be. Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. The Bears lost again, Tony. 6 in a row. Where's this going to end?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Well, if it's like yesterday, it'll end 1 yard short of a first down.
Yeah, I'd like it to end with the firing of the GM and the head coach. How many weeks consecutively have I said that on Monday when we opened this show?
I was going to guess about 5 in a row, but maybe even more than that.
That's right. I think
I
right.
know. You want them gone, right? You want them out.
Yesterday, out. Please.
Yeah. Well, not actually yesterday. Actually, 5 weeks ago. Yesterday.
We're going to PTI, boys and girls, in today's episode. The Giants beat the Seahawks. The Browns are suddenly 9-3. The Eagles yanked Carson Wentz. But we begin today with the aftermath of that hideous collapse by the Jets yesterday against the Raiders. Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator who ordered an all-out blitz and was beaten by a rather routine touchdown pass, was fired today. That blitz call was widely panned by his own players. The Jets are still winless. Somehow Adam Gase is still employed. Move on to Greg Williams. Deserved to be fired for that call.
Yeah, sure. Yes. I mean, and I understand, Tony, that this is who Greg Williams is. We have known him. We've covered him. This is who he is. Yeah. He does this. He does it, and he justifies it, and he says to you when you're sitting there with a pen and pad after a game, I'm not just going to sit back and zone and get crushed. I'm going to go after somebody. And this is who he is. It's sort of like today's version, a 21st century version of Buddy Ryan, except Buddy Ryan wouldn't have done that. But Greg, yeah, you can fire him after that. Tony's sitting there watching, and I know you were because we were on the phone. It's not believable that he made that defensive call. It's not. And when you have your own players say, what the hell was our coach doing? And you have the opposing quarterback who threw the pass go, I couldn't believe he did it. And you're Owen, yeah, you can fire him. You can.
Yeah, so to me, it's the worst call since Darrell Bevell in the Super Bowl declined to hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch at the 1-yard line and threw a pass. And New England intercepted it and won the Super Bowl. And what's interesting about that is what Darrell Bevell is doing now. He's the interim head coach at Detroit who just beat you Bears yesterday.